What is Bitcoin mining?
Welcome back. This is your Bitcoin boy, Sunny Ray. So here's the daily vlog where we essentially tackle a different question about Bitcoin every single day. Today's question is what is Bitcoin mining?
Could have slept here for days. I felt your heartbeat, felt your mouth breathe, but it's not real.
So what's up? My name is Sunny Ray. I have been in the Bitcoin space for almost 8 years now. I started a company called UnoCoin. Let's get right to it. So, question today is what is Bitcoin mining? Now,
Bitcoin operates as a peer-to-peer network. This means that everyone who uses Bitcoin is a tiny fraction of the bank of Bitcoin. But where do Bitcoins come from? With paper money, a government decides when to print and distribute money. Bitcoin doesn't have a central government. With Bitcoin, miners use special software to solve math problems and are issued a certain number of Bitcoins in exchange. This provides a smart way to issue the currency and also creates an incentive for more people to mine. And since miners are required to approve Bitcoin transactions, more miners means a more secure network.
you know how there's gold mining? So in gold mining, you have axes and picks, correct? You have this mountain where there's potentially gold underneath, and you have these axes and picks, and you go and dig and dig and dig, and then eventually you get the gold. But in Bitcoin, it's kind of the same, but not really, in the sense that mining doesn't, in the case of Bitcoin, does not involve axes and picks. Instead, it involves supercomputers, or computers that are very, very powerful, that are able to do many computations per second. Now, the thing about Bitcoin is that when it first started back in 2009 or whenever it was, somebody with a simple laptop could bust out their computer and start mining Bitcoin, and they would have, maybe a Bitcoin at the end of a day. Maybe you could get in and mine some Bitcoin, but the thing about Bitcoin mining is that essentially over time it gets harder and harder, similar to mining gold, right? So what happens when you mine gold, right? As you find the gold that's at the surface, to get the gold that's below the ground is obviously much harder than getting to the gold that's at the surface. But in Bitcoin mining, similarly, it gets harder and harder. Now, one of the things about Bitcoin mining is that people ask, well, why is it happening? Why are these miners, these supercomputers, being awarded new Bitcoin that come into existence? Well, one of the ways to think about this is that the miners are actually doing work. In the case of Bitcoin mining, miners are essentially verifying transactions on the network. So for example, let's say I were to send you some Bitcoin from me to you. Miners, these decentralized group of computers that are solving complex mathematical puzzles, just verifying transactions in the network. But from a very surface level, it's just important to understand that these supercomputers are doing work, and the type of work that they're doing is that they're verifying transactions in the network. It maintains the integrity of the entire network. And because of these miners, some people sometimes like to bring up the 51% attack. So what does that mean? So in Bitcoin, so in order for somebody to really attack Bitcoin, be able to have more than 51% of the entire network. The Bitcoin network was one of, if not the most powerful supercomputer on planet Earth by a factor of 1,000 plus. And so in order for you to attack this network, you would need many supercomputers and lots of resources to even just fake one transaction. And so that's kind of the idea behind Bitcoin, is that it's not maintained by a central party, but instead by this network of miners and then participants. And there is a very predictable curve of the amount of Bitcoin that is being created. So for example, if let's say there's 1,000 miners today, and then all of a sudden tomorrow there's 2,000 miners, the number of Bitcoin that's coming into existence will actually not change. It'll continue to be this. You see, as we approach 2140, the number of Bitcoin reaches an asymptote of 21 million Bitcoin, then you or I or anybody for that matter can participate in the network and become a miner. Obviously, as time goes on, people used to use laptops back in the day. Then, as time went on, people started using GPUs, and then people started using things like FPGAs, and then eventually they got even more advanced, and they started using. Now they're using ASIC. So ASIC stands for Application-Specific Integrated Circuits, and they're using chips. So the actual chips themselves inside the computers, the itty bitty chips, are actually being designed specifically for mining Bitcoin. And
The Bitcoin network automatically changes the difficulty of the math problems, depending on how fast they're being solved. In the early days, Bitcoin miners solved these math problems with the processors in their computers. Soon, miners discovered that graphics cards used for gaming were much better suited to this kind of math. Graphics cards are faster, but they use more electricity and generate a lot of heat. The first commercial Bitcoin mining products included chips that were reprogrammed for mining Bitcoin. These chips were faster, but still power-hungry. ASIC, or Application-Specific Integrated Circuit chips, are designed specifically for Bitcoin mining. ASIC technology has made Bitcoin mining even faster while using less power.
What is Bitcoin mining? Well, that's not helping. Go.
I just recorded the whole thing about what is Bitcoin mining. But in summary, Bitcoin mining is validating transactions on the network, and new Bitcoins that are rewarded from the network are given to these supercomputers are very.
What is that validation, like validate transaction?
So when I send a Bitcoin from me to you, that is a Bitcoin transaction, and these miners are the ones who are essentially rewarded new Bitcoin that come into the network are rewarded to the miners.
Is there any way that can be like, can you explain me like relating to banks? I don't know, when I bank a transaction bank, then like is
those transactions are verified in centralized servers inside the bank, whereas in Bitcoin you have decentralized servers that are hosted by anybody.
Can I mine 1 Bitcoin with my laptop?
No. So back in the day, when Bitcoin first came out, the way to mine Bitcoin was very simple. Just like when there was lots of gold back in the day, anywhere it was very simple to find. But as time went on, the gold gets harder and harder. So similarly in Bitcoin, it gets harder and harder. And so at the beginning, yes, with a laptop, not many people knew about Bitcoin, but you could mine some Bitcoin with a laptop. But today, you need ASICs, as I just finished describing, application-specific integrated circuits that are specifically designed circuits for mining Bitcoin, and they're designed for the protocol. So yes, you can.
What is cloud mining?
Cloud mining is essentially where you have a bunch of people who don't want to essentially buy the computer hardware, the actual ASIC chips and the computers to do the mining, but instead they want to just be able to pay, let's say, a monthly subscription and have a group of other people do all the hard work. And so cloud mining is essentially a way of mining without actually investing in the hardware.
As the popularity of Bitcoin increases, more miners join the network, making it more difficult for individuals to solve the math problems. To overcome this, miners have developed a way to work together in pools. Pools of miners find solutions faster than their individual members, and each miner is rewarded proportionate to the amount of work he or she provides. Mining is an important and integral part of Bitcoin that ensures fairness while keeping the Bitcoin network stable, safe, and secure.
And I hear like it's really cheap to mine in Canada. Like, is that true?
Is it cheap to mine? So yeah, it all comes down to how much electricity costs. There are some mining farms here, but most of the big ones are elsewhere. But one advantage that Canada does have or would have is that it's cold here for many months of the year, and so you could leverage that because the mining hardware gets very hot, so you need air conditioning to keep it cool. So yeah, if you have the outside weather to keep it cold, then that reduces your costs. So it's not just the cost of electricity, but there's lots of variables that you need to consider.
Are mining companies public?
There are some kind of mining companies that have gone public in Canada. So maybe on a different episode I can talk about that. Bitcoin companies going public in Canada. Please like, subscribe, or leave a comment below.